This Sunday begins the season of Lent. It is a word that means spring, growth. Things that are happening under the soil during winter begin to bring forth life. It is also a season that reminds us that we do not live on bread alone. There is more to life than bread. We do not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from God. Now, these first two Sundays of Lent are almost two different sides of the same hand of spirituality. And there's a spiritual practice that's called the Via Negativa, dealing almost with the dark side, and Via Positiva, dealing with the light side. Well, today we experience the Via Negativa, the experience of Jesus being tempted in the desert. Next Sunday, we'll experience the Via Positiva, where Jesus experiences a mountaintop experience with the disciples. Today's gospel in Luke moves Jesus from his baptism to the desert for a period of 40 days of fasting. Now, 40 days in biblical terms means a long period of time. In his human experience, he is fasting. He is not a sense of fasting for penance, but fasting for insight and humility and vulnerability before God. 40 days without food, without water, a long period of time without food and water. In a human experience, he is famished, he is hungry, he is disoriented, he's probably hallucinating in the sense of the oxygen and sugar going to his brain. He's not able to think clearly as a human being. And the gospel says that he was tempted by the devil. And the word in Luke's gospels is diabolos, God's prosecuting attorney. Think about that for a moment. God's prosecuting attorney comes to Jesus in his vulnerability. And in that via negativa, Jesus is tempted by the human ego and the sense of, here is power before you. You can turn stone to bread. See this land? You can have it all. That sense of power. Think about it. How often do we say or hear people say they're struggling with their inner demons, that human experience, or addictions that they call their inner demons, or the real vulnerability, or a wounded ego? And yet, in the midst of that, Jesus being challenged, he continues to go to the root of who he's called to be. And he keeps saying yes to God. It's almost as if the diabolos is saying, is this really what you want? Because what's happening is Jesus knows he's going to Jerusalem. And that's not going to end really well from one experience. It involves suffering and death on the way to resurrection. And in this moment of vulnerability, when Jesus, struggling with all of that, says, yes, I am saying yes to God. I am saying no to that power, no to diabolos and what that's offered, and I am saying yes to God. And in that final yes, the devil leaves him. And it says leaves him for now because he comes back again in the Garden of Gethsemane. Where are those places within our hearts where we struggle in our human experience, where there are those demons of addiction, those inner demons of criticism, self-hate, the struggle of trying to be our best and we fall short and we beat ourselves up, those wounded places of vulnerability that are so broken that we hurt so much, and that it's a wall around that pain. Jesus is inviting us and showing us to embrace that vulnerability, that via negativa within us, and allow God to come to us and say, I am with you. I am with you there in your vulnerability. Even at the end of your struggle, in the midst of your struggle, I am with you. To give you courage, to give you hope, to give you life. Welcome to the season of Lent, where we're invited to grow within our heart, all of our heart, our whole heart, to give to God, to return to God, and to invite God in. Amen.